Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It is 8:07 on this Monday morning in your nation's capital. Thanks for tuning in. Coming up in 30 minutes, we're going to check in with Mark Fisher, Maryland delegate, talk about Wes Moore's robust attacks on Donald Trump and what can only be described as some sort of distraction from the sorry state of affairs in Maryland under his watch, and I guess his attempt to outdo Gavin Newsom. Oof, we'll get into all of those details. It's Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. Also, we mentioned the Bronze Star issue. President Trump went there on the Bronze Star issue. We'll ask Delegate Fisher if he's got some details on that Bronze Star thing too, Julie, so we can get to the bottom of that. Yeah, we want to make sure we get the truth out. That's all coming up. Julie, join me in welcoming the new co-chair of the Republican National Committee, one K.C. Crosbie. Ms. Crosbie, thanks.
Hey, good morning.
How are you?
Good
Thanks
morning.
for being here. First time on. We hope that you won't be a stranger because we do love checking in with the National Committee here. And let's face it, you've got a lot of good news. Talk to me about this fundraising disparity between yourself and your sad counterparts over at the DNC.
Well, I mean, it was reported last week that the RNC is just killing it with our fundraising. We have over 84 million cash on hand. And, of course, the Democrats aren't quite doing as well. They're, I think, just a little over 13 million. But I think, it just goes to the bigger issue that the DNC just continues to double down on dumb. My home state is Kentucky, and, they take these 80-20 issues, and as I travel the country all across America, I mean, people just do not agree with their lack of message here with, they fight to keep violent, illegal immigrants in our country. I mean, these are the worst of the worst, human traffickers, rapists, murderers. They want boys and girls sports. And again, those issues just don't resonate across America as I'm traveling across the country talking about the Republican Party. So I think their fundraising is clearly lacking because they have a lack of a clear, unified message, and they just don't represent, middle America and the working class.
Well, there's a big race going on here in Virginia. You don't have to travel the country. You've got it right here in the backyard of D.C., and Abigail Spanberger, she seems pretty clear on her message. She's 100% in favor of these horrific policies that allow a sexual predator to go into a girl's locker room and expose himself to a little 9-year-old girl. You saw this scene last week in Arlington. We had your chair, Matthew Hurt, on earlier in the program. You've raised all this money. This fight is tangible. It's important. And I know that President Trump and the Republicans would love to have a huge victory in Virginia. What is the RNC committed to now for Winsome Sears in her effort to win that seat?
Listen, we are really excited about Winsome Sears. I mean, you all know her, obviously, but I have campaigned with her now at least half a dozen times. In fact, I'm going to be in Virginia later this week doing some trainings. Election integrity is obviously a huge issue to the Republican National Committee, and we're doing protective vote tours across Virginia as well as New Jersey for 2025 races. We have staff on the ground. Everybody is working hard to get the vote out for Winsome. She's a phenomenal candidate. She is right on the issues. If people want to make sure that they have safe cities, somebody who's going to be tough on crime, who wants to reduce the cost of living, they need to get out and support Winsome Sears. I mean, the stakes are high in this race, and certainly we are committed to being there with her.
It's interesting. You said earlier that the Democrats don't have a message. And I'm sure you agree with this. They do have a message. They are totally radical in the state of Virginia, and their only strategy to make Spanberger look moderate appears to be to dress her head to toe in Talbots. She has this nice sort of, middle-aged mom haircut. But when you listen to what she says, it's really disturbing. And I think the signs we saw at that Arlington school board meeting, and some of the things that the speaker said, everybody's focusing on the signs. But if you listen to those speakers, they are so radical. How is the Republican Party doing getting that message out, particularly in Northern Virginia, where I do think there are some persuadable Democrats that are turned off by this kind of radicalism?
Well, I mean, and you're right. I think what we see nationally is they don't have a unified message. I mean, certainly they are a party in disarray right now across the country. When you have people like AOC and Gavin Newsom sort of seen as the party heads, I mean, that is just not something that people in parts of Virginia agree with. When I'm in Roanoke, I can't imagine that they agree with the policies of AOC and Gavin Newsom. And again, we're just going to combat because we're right on the messaging. I mean, clearly the Democrats are at the lowest approval rating in history, 19%. Their message is not resonating. And so, again, I think people see that for what it is. They are tired. They're tired of this woke policy coming into their cities where it's not safe, where they're paying high taxes. And, it's simply us getting out the message and being with Winsome Sears, getting the vote out. We learned a lot in 2024 about how to target our voters and get them out. We plan to implement that plan in Virginia and New Jersey in 2025.
That's great. Let me also ask you, listen, great week for news for the Republican Party, not only this fundraising number, but also the New York Times even had to concede that in every single state, all 30 states, where people identify party affiliation when they register to vote, Republicans are trouncing Democrats to the tune of over 4 million nationwide. Given those numbers, and especially in blue states, and the interest in what President Trump's been able to do with crime in D.C., is the RNC doing renewed efforts now on some of these blue states to move them more purple or maybe move them more red? I'm thinking of states you just mentioned, New Jersey. The numbers in New York, even California with Gavin Newsom and what he's trying to do, the Republican Party, there's a lot of Republicans in that state, as you know, ma'am.
Absolutely. We are taking the fight to the blue states. And, right now you look at what's going on in California. We see Texas just passed a redistricting plan. And, people like Governor Newsom are trying to say, well, we're going to do that in California. And we'll bring on the fight for us because there are, I think, about a dozen red Republican states that can redistrict. I think there's only 3 that can do so legally, whether by constitution or vote. And with that being said, we'll win at their game. And even looking back to 2024, I mean, President Trump grew the Republican Party in every single demographic, whether it was women, Hispanics, blacks. And so we continue to grow on the great work that President Trump did during 2024 and take it into these blue states. Absolutely.
So I just want to reiterate, and I'm sorry to do this to you because it's our first conversation, so forgive me. But I've been down this road for a long time in Virginia and in Maryland. Because after the election, I don't want anyone saying, oh, they never asked us for support and money. And then the other side say, oh, no, we asked for support and money. You've got an open connection right now with the Winsome Sears campaign, and there is coordination going on so the RNC can help financially and organizationally for Good Out the Vote and to make sure that Winsome Sears has the best shot of winning. Is that what you're saying?
I'm absolutely saying that. We have staff on the ground working in Virginia right now on election integrity efforts. I've been there, I don't know, half a dozen times myself, I'm going out stomping for Winsome Sears. And, in fact, I'm going to be in town,
and
I
Stuart
believe,
Whitson,
Thursday
I hope,
night
too.
Doing an event.
Yeah, well, I keep forgetting Stuart Whitson in the middle of the Virginia 11 special election has a real shot right here.
Yeah, so everything that we do with our election integrity efforts and our Get Out the Vote efforts on the ground will help every single candidate on the ballot in Virginia. But, yes, we already have staff on the ground, and we are committed to helping push our candidates in 2025 over the line.
We are thrilled to hear that. Honestly, this would be such a game changer if Winsome Sears wins this gubernatorial race. The media had already written her off. The Democrats, they're grooming Spanberger to be a running mate in 28 already. They already cashed this check. So Casey, Crosbie, and the RNC were very excited about your engagement. And great to have you as part of the RNC now. We'll have you on as often as you'd like.
I appreciate it. I'll come on anytime. Thanks for having me this morning.
Thank you. Although the barbecue is a little better in Kentucky. I'm not going to lie.
I would agree. The bourbon, too.
Oh, well, that goes without saying. Although somehow we find plenty of it here in our bars.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
I like that Casey Crosbie. Do you think the KC stands for Kentucky Crosbie?
I'm sure of it.
Let's just say it does. I hope I wasn't too assertive there to make sure. Because, this it happens all the time, right? After the election, if Republicans underperform and if it's close, you'll get the candidate or you'll get people within the Republican Party in Virginia saying, yeah, we asked the RNC, but they weren't helping. It just happened in 22, the midterms.
We don't ask easy questions on this show. You asked a good question.
Just want to make sure everyone's showing their cards up front.
That's
everyone's talking. Everyone's coordinating. This is a winnable race, man. This is going to be huge. Let's turn our sights back to Maryland. Again, we're bouncing back and forth across the Potomac because just moments ago, Chris Van Hollen's favorite Maryland citizen, Maryland man, Kilomar Abrego Garcia of El Salvador, alleged member of MS-13, alleged human trafficker, alleged pedophile, and child pornographer, has now been released back to his home state of Maryland. And they had a rally in front of an ICE office in Maryland as he was being released. By the way, we're told this is a very, very, very temporary release because he's scheduled to be deported to Uganda. We'll get into that in a moment. But here is Abrego Garcia speaking at this rally to his crowd, his throng of admirers. Let's listen.
And
this is why I want to thank each and every one of you who marched, lift your voices, never stopped praying, and continued to fight.
Is Abrego Garcia now identifying as a Maryland woman? What is going on here? Is that how he's going to get out of it? He's going to go with the whole trans defense? You can't deport me. I'm a transgender woman.
Hey, maybe he's watching Richard Cox.
This makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Julie. That's the translator.
Oh, okay.
That's from Casa de Maryland.
Why does he need a translator?
Well, that's what's confusing. And forgive me because, he's been here since he was a teenager for over a decade in this country.
He's a Maryland dad.
But he needs a translator to speak to his crowd, his throng. I don't know about
how
you.
That works.
If I were a guest in a new country, especially a country that I love and I've adopted as my own, I would bend over backwards to learn its language. Huh. Weird.
Weird.
Okay. Really weird. Should we listen to more of the message here from Casa de Maryland on behalf of Kilmar Abrego Garcia? Let's listen.
My name.
Mi esposa, Jennifer. Mi hermano Cesar.
My wife, my brother.
The wife I beat.
Yeah.
Y toda mi familia.
The wife who has a restraining order against me. I'll translate. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, we don't need the Casa. We'll translate.
Yeah. My mother, Cecilia.
Really good to be back reunited with my wife so I can knock her around a little bit more.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris honestly, Van Hollen.
Yeah, it's so nice. So nice that they're I loved the stories, like finally reunited, the pictures of his wife and him holding his baby. And it's like, better watch out there. Don't make him mad.
She looks terrified.
She does.
Yeah. All right, so he's been released. And now, according to ICE and according to DHS, he is expected to be deported to Uganda. They can't send him back to his home. No, by the way, he can leave because they're all upset now. You can't send us to Uganda. You can't send us to that bleep hole. Wait a second. We're not allowed to call third world countries bleep holes. And by the way, Uganda is the beautiful home country of the next mayor of Manhattan, of New York City.
Maybe he could stay on that compound.
Right? Absolutely.
Wait, what did they call him? Skinny Mamdani. What did they call him? I want to use that. What was it? I can't remember.
I can't remember now. We'll finally get it. All right. Well, there's your latest on Kilmar Abrego Garcia, Chris Van Hollen's favorite citizen and resident. By the way, Wes Moore was asked about this. He went on and on about, Constitution and due process and a court and a judge. Courts and judges have decided every step of the way.
Yeah.
This guy got a deportation notice in 2019. I said, Trump administration shouldn't be able to do this. A judge should decide. The judge did decide. That's how we do it in immigration courts. Where was Margaret Brennan leaning forward with her pen in her hand saying, excuse me.
I know.
I'm sorry. I'm not even going to play the clip for you. It'll frustrate you. But this one, now we're going to end with this because this is even worse, our immigration update here. The guy from India who also had a deportation notice under Trump, Biden gave him clemency and allowed him to stay, gave him a work permit. The state of Washington gave him a commercial driver's license, which is illegal. It was reinstated in California as well. He's driving a trailer truck in Florida.
He failed the language test.
Failed the language test. Has no business being in the country, working in the country, driving in the country, driving a commercial 6-ton vehicle, tractor trailer in this country. He does an illegal U-turn. A minivan smashes into the side of the trailer, instantly killing, probably sadly decapitating the family involved. He's now been arrested. He's facing deportation. Julie Gunlock, I am so disturbed to report that over 2 million Americans have signed on to a petition supporting this man, trying to defend him and keep him from being deported. What?
Well, there's 2.2 million monsters in the United States. This is so typical, though. This is so typical of, well, he's where is he on this intersectional ladder? And that absolves him of all crimes. It absolves him of all wrongdoing. He's an illegal immigrant. He's a person of color, I think is how they like to say it, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't speak English, right? He is so high up on that intersectional. You can do anything at that point.
If he were an American man wearing a MAGA hat instead of a turban, and he did this, they'd be putting this guy in the electric chair if they believed in the death penalty. They'd still do it anyway, even if they don't believe in the death penalty.
They make
some
exceptions.
People should be. Yeah, well, sure. Some people should be executed. But you're right. These are monsters. They have no moral compass.
None.
The beginning,
None.
Middle, and end of their morality has to do with whatever their politics happens to be at any given moment.
Look, we've seen this, and I know we're up against, but we've seen this with the celebration of that CEO in New York City. The first reaction was, hooray, she made a lot of money. Yep. She should be dead. We saw that with the healthcare CEO. We've seen this over and over again, this cultural rot in this country. It's very scary.
Well said. 824. Well, we've got a quick update on this rally for Kilmar Abrego Garcia, Julie. The rally's over. He went into the ICE facility in Baltimore to check in. He's been arrested and detained by ICE. So, great rally, guys. And I'm glad
his wife's safe.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, oh, muchas gracias, senor. Coming up, we'll talk to Delegate Mark Fisher of Maryland about this and much more next.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
8:37 now. In 30 minutes, we're going to hand it off to Chris Plant for the Chris Plant Show, but we got a little bit more to take care of here. Julie Gunlock and I do. Good morning, Jules.
Good morning.
Let's turn to Mark Fisher. He's a delegate in the state of Maryland, and boy, oh boy, your governor, our governor, Wes Moore, has been really active over the last several days. It's almost like he sees Gavin Newsom there acting up against Donald Trump, and he needs to sort of get in the game there if he wants to be president.
Yes, indeed. Sorry, the phone cut out for a second there. My apologies. That's exactly right. Good old Wes Moore. I mean, he's running for president. It's very clear. And you hit it exactly right. He sees Gavin Newsom. He wants to run against Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom is his biggest competitor in the Democrat primary. And then Governor Moore decided to say to the President of the United States when he was at Pimlico, which the state just took over because it's so run down, he said to the President of the United States, keep Baltimore's name out of your mouth. I mean, who speaks that way? That is so unprofessional. It really is. And the governor was talking about Baltimore because the president was talking about Baltimore because the President of the United States wants to bring to light how bad the crime is in many of these legacy cities and how bad the public school system is in many of these legacy cities.
Yeah.
You know, Larry, Chris Pabst of Fox 45 just wrote a book about the Baltimore City public school system. And do you know that only 10% of the children test proficient in math? I mean, it's a disaster.
That's
a scandal.
As I said earlier in the show, people like Wes Moore, Barack Obama, most Democrats, they love to talk about this school to prison pipeline. But what they don't talk about is not educating kids in the public schools, these failing public schools, where kids are already showing increased violence towards their teachers. There's a total lack of discipline, mostly because of Obama enacting restorative justice measures in these schools. I mean, but if you look at Baltimore schools, not just the violence, but the lack of learning among these kids, that's the real prison pipeline right there, school to prison pipeline, which Wes Moore does not address, nor do Democrats in general.
They don't address it, and they also don't address the other fundamental problem in Baltimore, which is the fact that so many people are just terrified of leaving their homes.
Yeah.
And they're terrified of leaving their homes because they think when they do so, someone's going to break in their home. Or ask people in Baltimore, Governor Moore, how comfortable they are walking in the evening when it gets dark and just strolling and enjoying the beautiful weather this time of year. Ask them how comfortable they are doing so. They're not. They're not comfortable. So the governor is constantly positioning and posturing against Donald Trump and presumably J.D. Vance as well, because, of course, he wants to be president. And we all know this. But meanwhile, Baltimore suffers, and Baltimore's per capita crime rate is higher than that of Kabul in Afghanistan, which has 5 million people.
Yeah, that's not a good record for him to be running on. Also, by the way, if I could, Delegate Fisher, he's now threatening. He's competing with Gavin Newsom. He's trying to flex with regard to redistricting. Of course, as everybody knows, even though between 38 and 40% of Marylanders either are registered Republicans or vote Republican on a regular basis, currently the 8 congressional districts are gerrymandered in such a way that there are 7 Democrats and 1 Republican. And now he wants to punish the people living in that one district for Andy Harris, disenfranchise them of their representation. He's threatening to gerrymander so that it's a clean sweep, that it's 8 Democrat districts. What can you and your fellow Republicans in Annapolis do about this, or does he have carte blanche?
So the Democrats, of course, it's a rigged game. The Democrats draw the map. The Democrats control the legislature, and they control all levers of power. However, if they were to do so, I don't think they would prevail in the courts. In fact, I think there was actually a really high probability when Larry Hogan was governor that when the districts were redrawn, the courts threatened to redraw the maps. The courts themselves threatened to do so. And so the Democrats are like, all right, well, we'll just go ahead and make sure that Andy Harris is safe. I actually don't think they would prevail in this particular case. And what's missing in this conversation, I think this is really important, is in Texas, when people say, well, you're not drawing minority districts, actually they are. The difference is in Texas, the minorities, which are Hispanics, are actually trending Republican, which is why there are going to be 5 more Republicans from Texas.
Yeah. Thank you. I try to bring that up all the time. It's like, first of all, there's nothing illegal about drawing partisan maps. That's been the case since the first gerrymandering case of the early 19th century. But it is illegal to draw based on racial makeup. That said, it turns out in Texas that 4 of the 5 new districts are majority Latino. That's what the Democrats are angry about.
They are, and Larry, they are terrified in Maryland that the President of the United States bill that passed, whereby school choice can be funded through private donations, the governor of Maryland, do you think he will comport Maryland's law in the 2026 session to the federal law that just passed so as to enable more children in Baltimore and throughout the state who are locked in failed schools to avail themselves of this opportunity? Do you think he'll do that? And the answer is no. Of course he won't. So, and this is tied directly to what's happening in Texas, because the Democrat Party in Maryland is losing registrants, and they are losing registrants because people are waking up. Look, Republicans and independents together in Maryland, Republicans and independents together make up 46% of the electorate. 46% in Maryland.
Yeah.
And that's unheard of.
Delegate Fisher, real fast, and I only have a minute. Governor Moore said that with regard to redistricting, I'm quoting him, "I want fair lines and fair maps." Has he or his party done anything to get fair lines and fair maps in Maryland?
No. Do you know, in my county, which is Calvert County, we're surrounded by water. And Maryland's Constitution specifically says natural boundaries cannot be crossed to draw districts. Well, they crossed the Patuxent River into Prince George's County to draw a district, and there's no bridge to get from one side to the other. It takes 35 minutes to drive from one side to the other because there's no bridge.
Well, I mean, everyone knows the people of Calvert County are very robust swimmers. We know that. So thank you, Delegate Fisher. We got to leave it there. Appreciate you joining us. It's 8:44. All right, a quick update here on Kilmore Abrego Garcia. Stand by here, Jeff, with cut number 15. I want to play that for you in a second. But first, his lawyer spoke out. As you know, Kilmore Abrego Garcia just did a rally, and there were like a good 34 people there, all, by the way, on the payroll of Casa de Maryland. And they were demanding that he be freed as he checked in at the ICE facility in Baltimore. When he checked in, he was summarily arrested, and he's now being processed and is on track to be deported, apparently to Uganda. Right now, you understand, he protested. He didn't want to go back to El Salvador because a rival gang, because, he's a gang member, a rival gang might murder him if he goes back to El Salvador. Don't send me back to El Salvador. And again, Trump administration, absolutely accommodating his request. Okay, we won't send you to El Salvador. We'll send you to Uganda. Here's his lawyer speaking out against him going to Uganda.
It is preposterous that they would send him to Africa, to a country where he doesn't even speak the language.
What?
Okay, so it's preposterous. You see where I'm going with this? How dare you send him to Africa and to a country where he doesn't even speak the language? Let's go again. Just moments ago on the steps of the ICE facility in Baltimore, here's Kilmore Abrego Garcia speaking to his supporters.
Y luchar por mi libertad.
And this is why I want to thank each and every one of you who marched, lift your voices, never stop praying.
He needed a translator. Julie, he doesn't speak the language here.
Why is everyone so stupid?
Why? It's being a liberal kills your brain cells. You cannot send him to Uganda. He doesn't know the language. Oh, really? Let's ask him. Oh, you can't ask him. He doesn't understand a word you're saying.
He actually used the word preposterous.
Preposterous. It would be preposterous. It's 8:52.